The parents of a former soldier have made an emotional appeal for private security contractors to receive more recognition for their work in conflict zones like Iraq and Afghanistan. Nick Crouch served as an officer in the Parachute Regiment before leaving to join the growing number of ex-forces involved in close protection work. In 2010, he was killed by a suicide bomber in Iraq. His parents have been speaking to our reporter, James Banks.
Clive and Barbara Crouch's son, Nick, had dreamt of being a para since he was a boy. So when he was turned down for the prestigious regiment, he decided to take the matter into his own hands and wrote to General Sir Mike Jackson, telling him he'd made a mistake.
Of course, the next day, again, unbeknown to the top echelons at Sandhurst, General Jackson arrived by helicopter. Apparently, he said to Nicholas, it was the first time he'd been ambushed by a 19-year-old, and he said, OK, you're in.
After serving in the army for 5 years, Nick decided to leave and pursue a new career in private security.
When he left the army, going into close protection was probably the obvious choice. He's probably paid about 3 times more than he was as a subaltern in the army, but as he said, you're on your own. You don't have the medical backup, like you do in the British Armed Forces. You don't have the firepower or air power backup. You're pretty much on your own.
On the 19th of July 2010, Nick was killed by a suicide bomber whilst working to support the US Army in Iraq.
He started off, he said, I guess if you're reading, I guess if you're reading this, I'm bought it. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He felt it was perhaps relevant and appropriate that what private security guys do should also be recognised. I do think he wanted it to be known that other people were also working and putting their lives at risk, and he wanted that fact to be acknowledged, because I do think if you ask anybody about security work, the word mercenary may not be far from their lips, and it's the wrong impression. There are a lot of guys out there doing the jobs, and I think they need what they do to be recognised. Nicholas, during his time in Afghanistan, had been the close protection for both Tony Blair and Gordon Brown. Now, that's surely significant. They're not cowboys. Perhaps, the other face of what these people are doing, rather than just, well, they go out there and they earn the big bucks. Because what they do is worthwhile, and I don't know how you go about rejigging people's perceptions, but I think maybe, it's worth doing. I really do.